Hello and welcome to this latest edition of Bulls on Parade Talk. I'm your host Joshua Sines. And it's taken some time getting all these guys. We've been hearing all of this, this guy's coming, this guy's coming, this guy's coming, this guy's been hired, this guy's been hired. Well, today, Bill O'Brien and the rest of the Houston Texans coaching staff has been officially announced. That's right. We have our coaching staff officially announced, and here they are. To start off, I'm going to categorize them in 4 categories: offense, defense, special teams, and strength and conditioning. Now, one of them isn't new, and I'll point him out. But anyway, here is the coaching staff for your Houston Texans. On offense, our quarterbacks coach, George Godsey. Our running backs coach, Charles London. Wide receivers, Stan Hickson. Tight end coach, John Perry. Offensive line coach, Paul Dunn. Offensive quality control, Tim Kelly. On defense, our coordinator, of course, Romeo Crennel. Defensive line coach, Bill Collar. Linebackers coach, Mike Vrabel. Secondary coach, John Butler. Assistant in the secondary, Anthony Midget. Defensive quality control, Will Lonning. Special teams, our coordinator, Bob Legashevsky. He's the one guy that is still here. He's not new. Assistant Doug Coleman. Now, strength and conditioning coach. Head guy, Craig Fitzgerald. Assistant, Sean Hayes. And another assistant, Anthony Pleasant. So, sum it up, 16 new assistant coaches. Bob Legashevsky is the one guy that has kept his job. So, what's the first thing that jumps out at you when you look at this? When you look at this staff? 2 words. Or technically 4. Technically 4, but you could choose either of these. You could choose 2 of them. You can either choose New England or Bill Belichick. Either way, as you can tell, there's a connection. There is a New England tree. We're looking a lot like New England right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of system is installed for next season. So I took the liberty, and the guy that blogs for State of the Texans, Patrick D. Starr, has done a very good job. Did a very good job of creating a graphic, and it's on this article, and I'll post it in the description. He did a very good job of of detailing where everyone came from and how they're all connected. Here, I'll explain to you. I'll explain it to you guys. First of all, let me go to Bill. The first guy that you're going to have to look at is Bill O'Brien. Right? So, Bill O'Brien, who, of course, was the head coach for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Right? Okay. So, Bill O'Brien, 4 of these guys worked under Bill O'Brien at Penn State. Stan Hickson, the wide receiver coach. Right? Charles London was the running back coach. John Butler, the defensive back coach, and Anthony Midget, the defensive back coach. Those 4 guys worked under Bill O'Brien at Penn State. Now, when Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator, the quarterbacks and running back coach at Georgia Tech from 1998 to 2002, George Godsey was his quarterback. George Godsey was a guy working under him as a quarterback for the quarterbacks. And of course, in '94, when he was the linebacker coach, and it's the one thing that always fascinated me. Bill O'Brien was a linebacker coach at Brown in 1994, but John Perry, the tight end coach, worked under him too. So that's Bill O'Brien's side. Now you look at the other guy that has major connections in this system, Romeo Crennel. He was the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns in 2000. Who did he have working with him? Doug Coleman in special teams. When he was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots in 01 to 04, and when he was the head coach and the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. What do those two reigns for Romeo Crennel have in common? One guy, Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel was an outside linebacker under Romeo. So he's played for him and he's coached with him. The guy, and I've heard Mike Vrabel went on record, I believe a couple weeks ago, stating that the guy is highly motivated. He's a player's guy. He'll put you in the right position. He's also very flexible, much like Bill O'Brien. He's flexible. He's adaptable. A lot of things to look forward to. So, but finally, there's one thing that stands out in this coaching staff that was announced today. There is one position that goes unfilled, that is not filled after this official announcement. That's offensive coordinator. You know why? Because Bill O'Brien is taking over that role. Bill O'Brien is going to be the guy installing the offense, working with the offense in practice, and calling the plays. And I've already gone through a lot of coaches. And there are head coach. I went through a list of head coaches in the league right now that are calling the plays, whether it's offense or defense. And I did that all in a previous video. Go ahead and check that out on my channel. But if it works, go for it. Some guys I know, and I went through in complete detail. I went through this in complete detail in one of my previous videos, but sometimes when a head coach is calling the plays and they hired a coordinator, whether defense or offense, it's normally like a guy to talk to, brainstorm, have a buddy that likes to exchange ideas and such, and then they're installed, they're practiced, and then executed on game day. Now, is Bill O'Brien going to do that? Well, since the coaching staff has been announced right now, I'm guessing the answer is no. So we'll see. The only thing that worries me, I just hope that Bill O'Brien doesn't stress himself out too much. I don't think he will. He's very old school, even though he's very old. He's an old school kind of guy, but he's not very old. With that being said, what I mean by that is, he's a very energetic guy. He's all up in your face. When you do something wrong, no matter who you are, he is not going to be afraid to stand up to you and say, "Hey!" He's going to be yelling and screaming at you. Now, I just hope he doesn't work himself. Too hard. Because the one thing about being a head coach, it's especially in the National Football League, it's very stressful because you got a lot of guys looking over your shoulder. You got a lot of people that are going to have their eyes on you if something's going wrong. If there's no leadership, if there's no cohesiveness, if there's a lack of discipline and focus, much like with the Dallas Cowboys, and that's the one thing that Jason Garrett, the Dallas Cowboys head coach, is maligned for. by the media, by his mainly by the media. But so like so we'll see. I'm very I personally am very optimistic about this. It's a new coach, new culture, new staff, new players coming in. It's a new era, and and technically the off season hasn't officially started. I got a couple dates here that I want you guys to just for you guys to pay attention on, just really quick as a final note. There's a couple of dates regarding between now and May and the draft. Okay, first off, February 17th is the first day for teams to designate franchise or transition players. So that's the day that you either franchise a guy or you let him go, or you give him the money, or transition players. March 8th through 11th. And I'm reading this from another article on stateofthetexans.com. March 8th through 11th. On March 8th, clubs are permitted to contact and enter into contract negotiations with the certified agents of the players, who will become unrestricted free agents upon the expiration of their contracts. At 3:00 p.m. Central Time on March 11th. So between March 8th and March 11th, the guys whose contract ends on March 11th, they can start negotiations. The thing is, contract can't be executed with a new team until 3:00 Central Time, March 11th. And then March 11th is the start of a new NFL season, of a new league year. That's when free agency begins. That's the name. That's the date to pay attention to. March 11th, everything begins. March 11th, free agency begins. So we can cut guys. We can bring in guys. We can cut guys. We can release them. We can trade them. We can do anything we want until March, and on March 11th, and also on March 11th, we have to be under the salary cap before 3:00 Central Time. We have to be under the salary cap, which is why a team like Dallas is in trouble if they don't do something about their situation quick, because they are over the cap again. But that's another story. But that's not who I'm covering. I cover the Texans, and March 11th is when free agency begins, and then May 8th is day one of the NFL draft. So, new staff, new era, new players, a lot of stuff to look forward to. I am personally excited. Are you? Are you excited about this new staff, this new era? If you are or not, tell me in the comments section. I would love to hear from you guys. This has been another episode of Bulls on Parade Talk. I'm your host, Joshua Sines, covering the Texans 365 days a year. Signing off.